Welcome, climate viewers. My name is Jim Lee from ClimateViewer News at climateviewer.com. It is December 9th, 2017, and I am very, very pleased to bring you the brand new, fully formed Voltron weather modification history.com 2.0. I am extremely pleased with how this came out. So I'm going to tell you a real quick story about this thing. It's been around for quite some time. Try to take all of my research on weather modification, put it all in one spot. Problem is, you're always kind of trying to talk to a senator, email this person that thing, or you're on Facebook and you're dealing with a troll, and you're like, I wish I could put this smartass in his place. And for me, the only solution was to create something that I could easily reference, but had all of the meat and potatoes in one basket. And that's what this beautiful website is for. Weathermodificationhistory.com is a combination of my research timeline with all of Dominic Marama's beautiful artwork, recreating the history of weather modification in one very succinct website. Up here at the top, you're going to see there's a link to the timeline. You can scroll through it, and it'll actually scroll you through there. We'll go through that in a second. Resource links here. Those are just below. We have a gallery page now, which basically shows every single image from all of the timeline posts in one spot. Ooh. The reason why I haven't done a video in the last 2 weeks is on the screen. So, well, I mean, I might as well show you. Yeah. So here's how it all works. I got this, this is Sublime Text. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. Let me put that over here. Boom. I'm on Sublime Text. I got a weather modification history.com thing here. I went and I created a theme for it in something called Hugo. And Hugo is my new best friend. I mean, I am absolutely in love with this. So a typical thing like this is a home page. I go make a whole bunch of widgets, and it says here, let me put this over here. I make a bunch of widgets. There's the header, the intro, the newsletter, all that stuff. I come up here. I say for say the header or the news vault. This is what it looks like. It's got some bootstrap code in there, and it injects it in there just like a WordPress widget would work, except I do it all on my hard drive, which means I'm not hackers anymore. 7 years of dealing with freaking hackers, trying to take out my website. There's no login, no password, no database. My database is right here. So I put all my files into text files. These are markdown files. And now all of the timeline entries look like this. This is Project Storm Fury. Here's the pictures and everything. And this is what it all looks like. Look at this beautiful website. So weathermodificationhistory.com is the crown jewel of the internet when it comes to credible resources that you can send to your sender, to any person that you're trying to convince this is a real thing. If they don't want to believe it's a real thing, say, well, you should learn the history, because those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. And come over here and click on the news gallery. And if you do, this is what you'll see. Oh my gosh. That's looking beautiful. So it's going to lazy load a whole bunch of newspaper articles. And as you scroll through them, see something cool you want to take a look at, go over there, click on it, pops it right up. My goodness, that's pretty interesting, right? So this is the purpose of this, stuff like, hey, this is Seagram's alcohol advertisement talking about making man-made snow on mountaintops, because, the senators think that's a cool idea to provide snow for people to ski on using airlines. What did I just read? So Dominic's work is second to none, digging through these old newspapers. And every time I come here, I learn something new. I'm actually in the process of digging through the 548 newspapers. You click one, you can actually click this arrow right here and just flip on through them. And it doesn't get better than this. General Electric, Dr. Bernard Vonnegut, Durs the Plane. We're talking real history. This is a 1948 mystery of the Point Augusta Sky Trails. Ladies and gentlemen, that is chemtrails in 1948. Or contrail Cirrus if you play in the science realm. But regardless, this is the history of weather modification. I'm going to go back to the home page now. I guess you guys get what's on the gallery. Same idea with the video page. It's all the videos from the site, and they're in reverse chronological order. I am a stickler for the details. I hope that you guys will, dig through those videos. I just almost took my mirror out. Priceless. Back to the front page. Nothing like having your wife giggle in your ear, live on the air. Boom. So, anyways, if you click to see the timeline, you will scroll past all the beauty that we're about to show. So I'm not going to do that. But right here, 10 technologies to own the weather today. There's a beautiful infographic I created just recently, article about it right here. Click on read more or click the image, and you can see that very lengthy article. Yeah, so this article is not for the faint of heart. Lenny says hi. Shout out to the chat room. What's up, Rob? What's up, Lenny? Dielectric, my main. James White, how y'all doing? God, you're distracting. You're very distracting, people. So 10 technologies to own the weather today, breaks them down into categories, because I think that a lot of people, for the last 3 years have been calling me Jim Lee, the jet fuel guy, which is a head scratcher, because long before that, I'd covered all 10 of these topics. We're going to recover them repeatedly until people get it. People, patents, programs, and laws right here. Click any one of those, and you will see the list of patents. Boom. Looks like that. Go over there, scroll through my patent list. And while we're mentioning it, if you're over at ClimateViewer.com, at the top of the page is a link to the GoFundMe that I'm currently doing to get to the 21st conference on planned and inadvertent weather modification. It's going to be in Austin, Texas, in January 9/11, 2018. I hope that you guys will support me for doing this. I'm gonna surprise you guys now. I guess it should have been kind of obvious if you actually went to the GoFundMe that I'm bringing along a guy who has a local Emmy in Los Angeles for a reason, and he's got video cameras and stuff. The purpose of this trip is to make a good film out of this, to make some kind of, to go to the scientists, take all the stuff that's on weather modification history, ClimateViewer.com, ClimateViewer.org, all the stuff that I've packed in this brain up there with my solution and say, guys, enough's enough. We really need to get some cohesion here. The public demand transparency and verification. I agree. I think you'll agree as well. By the way, there's a camera right behind me. And the American Meteorological Society press office gave me permission to record all day, air day. So what I'm hoping that you guys will do is support me on this GoFundMe. Because I've never made a documentary before. This is overwhelming. B, this is really going right into the fire. I'm going to be doing 3 days of sitting with the geoengineers and weather modification scientists while they do their presentations and asking questions afterwards. All of those presentations will be recorded and available on the American Meteorological website afterwards. If you go to this page right here and you click on conference program, you can actually see all of the different, don't do this to me. There we go. You can see all of the different things that are going to be said there, like review of winter orographic cloud seeding, wintertime glaciogenic orographic cloud seeding, a review by Robert. Anyway, I'll be over in the room 16AB Austin Convention Center and Hilton, and Roy Rasmussen from NCAR will be running that. And I want to go there and hear all their latest research. B, talk to them about my solution. My solution is the Environmental Accountability Environmental Modification Accountability Act of 2018. And I hope to go there and really, shake up some things. There's going to be a lot of, let's put it this way, not just the cloud seeding scientists and geoengineers, but on the Austin Convention Center, there's going to be close to 20,000 people. And most of them, if you've ever seen one of these guys on TV who were, talking about, or I mean, on Facebook, like these meteorologists who go talking about chemtrails and just get a big fire going and everything, those guys are going to be there. And the difference is with me, I eat people like that for lunch. But I will do it as a gentleman, and it will be recorded with your help. So please share my GoFundMe out there. I don't like asking, but I have to, and I really would appreciate your support. Dr. James Roger Fleming, I'd like to introduce him to you if you have not already heard of him. Now, I first read some of his, presentations online in 2011, and he has been instrumental in helping me, connect some of the dots. And I really hope that you guys will take some time to watch his video. It's on weathermodificationhistory.com's front page, as you can clearly see here, and a link to his book on amazon.com. I don't get anything from that. I'm just saying it's the book, Fixing the Sky, the Checkered History of Weather and Climate Control. He's the man. He is the real deal historian on weather modification, and I hope to impress him enough that he will talk to me. So anyway, right below that weather modification map, my presentation I gave last year at G. Edward Griffin's Global Warming and Inconvenient Lie on weather modification and weaponizing nature. And you can download the PowerPoint by clicking there or there. And my solution, the Environmental Modification Accountability Act of 2018. Video on that's only 5 minutes long. Please watch it. But it goes a little something like this. Weather modification has a pretty long history. I had to cut it off. So, when I was going to reform the website for this go round, I created this website December 2015, or 2016, after going to the G. Edward Griffin thing. And when talking with Dominic, we kind of agreed that the good cutoff point would be 1800. And weather modification goes back much further than that. Of course, whether it's intentional or not, we could definitely bring up things like Antietam and black powder rifles causing rain on battlefields in the Civil War. The Indian rain dancing and how we won't go into that. Anyway, so we cut it off at 1800 for a reason. But it pretty much goes like this, and this is something that I borrowed from James Fleming, that he called it 3 cycles of hope and hype. But it was pluviculture, cloud seeding, and geoengineering. And basically, it goes a little something like this. Everything up to about 1946. Good night, baby. I love you. Everything up to about 1946. Before that, it's rainmaking, or pluviculture is the term that James Fleming used. After 1946, when cloud seeding was invented, obviously that's that period. And then you come to the geoengineering period. Now, geoengineering actually in its ideological form could be traced back to as early as like JFK, because they had a paper restoring the quality of the environment. Regardless, but we're not going to talk about I'm not talking about tree geoengineering, baby. I'm talking about like this solar radiation management geoengineering. We're not talking about cloud seeding. Paint your board, please. Thank you, darling. No, so geoengineering in its current form I would say, really took off in 1997 because Edward Teller, I'm so tempted to click it. Let's just scroll down. This is what the new timeline looks like. Anyway, back up. Edward Teller, also known as Dr. Evil, was at the Lawrence Livermore National Lab when he wrote some papers, and we might as well go there. Dr. Evil's Geoengineering Plan from National Lab to Global Governance. August 15, 1997 to April 19, 2002. So this is the new version of WeatherMod history. Every single entry on the timeline has its own page. You can see it's got a nice, beautiful sidebar and article over here. This was actually written by Jeff Goodall. It was posted on Rolling Stone. He asked Rolling Stone to delete the article. I got a copy of it. It's really bad. You should read it. But at the bottom of this, you can see, I'm just going to scroll all the way down here. Here are the papers that they wrote. So you can click that and you see, this is the first one. Global warming and ice ages, prospects for physics-based modulation of global change. Teller, Wood, and Hyde came up with this paper, and they said, man, geoengineering, yeah. And it was a paper that was prepared and submitted to the 22nd International Seminar on Planetary Emergencies in Sicily. Excuse me. In Sicily in 1997. So this is where everybody's favorite punching bag comes into the story. So they said we could geoengineer the planet, and then they wrote the second paper with Kenneth Caldera. And Ken Caldera is, top geoengineer in the world, man. I think David Keith might be aggravated by me saying that, and he's trying to top that with his little balloon in Arizona next year, that Scopex, that Strato Cruiser thing. But regardless, Ken Caldera, top dog geoengineer, comes up to, is working at Lawrence Livermore when he's hanging out with Dr. Evil, Edward Teller, pictured there. And he says, I made a computer model of what geoengineering would look like in the future. And I gotta say, it wasn't that bad. In fact, trees liked it, man. So because of Ken Caldera's, validation, pat on the back with his super fake computer model that couldn't possibly account for any of this stuff that he was saying at the time, they wrote another one. This is the third paper. Notice all of the nerds they needed to prove their point are now gone. You see, Teller, Caldera, Canavan, Gavadens, Sene, Grossman. I can't. Ishki, a bunch of big names I can't pronounce. Jeez, I'm from South Carolina. Give me a break. But that's a lot of nerds. Okay, you see Teller, Wood, and Hyde. They're still there. But then after they're done with their nerds at another planetary emergency thing, they go to the National Academy of Engineering Symposium, and they're like, hey, guys, by the way, our nerds say this geoengineering thing's cool. Let's do this thing. This is 2002, Lawrence Livermore National Lab, U.S. Department of Energy. Flash forward to today, the U.S. Department of Energy is doing the atmospheric radiation monitoring program, ARM, and they are currently headed towards Antarctica to go study aerosols because they know jack all about them, just like I said in 2015 at the EPA hearing. True story. Boat's headed there right now because cloud aerosol interaction is the greatest unknown in climate science. So that means that whatever Kenneth Caldera put in his little computer model that went with all this to get all this ball rolling was a bunch of hooey bull crap. And that is how geoengineering really got its start. And then you had the Asilomar conference, and of course they were like, if in other words, if public comes to see geoengineering, as one attendee put it, a crazy idea cooked up by rich Anglo-Saxons to dominate the climate, then they will all be rightfully tarred and feathered. One of the other attendees at the Asilomar conference said, as for the U.S. Department of Defense, forget about it. To this group, such involvement prompts nightmares of a new military-industrial geoengineering complex. And that's what everybody online is concerned about, the military and creepy stuff like that. So the purpose of weather modification history was to really go through that history and see, who the boogeyman are. Is it possible? Is there really a chemtrail conspiracy? I had to really go through and start breaking it down into all of these entries to understand the history, because those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. Now, I've been studying geoengineering, weather modification, all these technologies for 7 years. I swear to God, I had never heard what I'm about to show you. And we're almost there. Did I pass it? I'm up. No, we're there. My gosh. Okay, so now everybody's heard of HAARP. HAARP. High Altitude Active Auroral Research Program. Okay. Milky, you're free to show any of my videos anywhere. I thought they were all set to Creative Commons. But yes, please share this video with anybody anywhere. Okay. There's this HAARP thing. Project High Altitude Research Program, HAARP Cannons, 1965. I literally almost fell out my damn chair. I was doing this, doing a little background research on one of the timeline entries while I was getting ready to put this new version of the website up. And I came across this Project High Altitude Research Program, HAARP Cannons, launch chemical payloads into space. A little bit of details on that. And I was kind of flabbergasted about this. I never heard of the HAARP cannon. Exactly. HAARP cannon. You can't. I'm going to drop the link in chat, because guess what? With this brand new version of weathermodificationhistory.com, I can actually link you to that post. Who's some badass now? So I went and I looked, and when I was going through the PDFs on this thing, I actually went into Google Earth, and the damn cannon is still there today, in operation today. So the cannon has a 5-inch projectile, as seen there. Guess what's in it, guys? Anybody want to take a guess? What's in the little cannon that they shoot chemicals into space?
Give them a little while with chat.
I know there's a delay, isn't there?
Yeah, move on. Anyway,
I want to see how I'm gonna finish this post, and I want to see how many people can guess what's in the little rocket. So anyway, I hope it's not in the slides I'm about to show. That'd be horrible. Anyway, so they fired the cannon right here. Look at this. 7,000 feet per second, apogee kilo feet. Who uses kilo feet? That's so weird. I mean, it's like an oxymoron. Fairy dust, no. Diamonds, no. Water's a good one, actually, because they did that a couple times. Project Waterhole, Project High Water. That's all in the timeline. You'll see it. But good one. Fiat currency, you funny. Robert Philos, my dog. He's right. Barium. So, and Jeremy Murphy. Jeremy, you're correct. Also, lithium. Correct. Barium and lithium. Chemtrails from space. How they get it up there? Apparently, they shoot out a rocket. Or I've been talking about sounding rockets a lot. And I knew that they had done cannons a couple times. I did not know there was a damn cannon called HAARP. By the way, that's a guy standing next to a hole in the ground from the HAARP cannon. You can't make this up. I love history, man. This stuff excites me. I mean, I know you guys can hear it in my voice, and I could go on at hours. I promised my wife that I'd make this a short video, because I'm supposed to be painting some stuff. Anyway, my goodness, you guys are going to get me in trouble. So not up here at the top of the timeline. It says right here, WMH timeline. There's categories. So this one is obviously in the Star Wars category. Anything related to space weather modification is in the Star Wars category. You can click that, and this is what it looked like. It puts them all in just your regular kind of blocky, they're all in a list. These are things related to space. HAARP ionospheric heater sold to University of Alaska, back online. Calls it Area 49. Interesting. CIA concerned about rogue geoengineering. Boom. HAARP creates densest artificial plasma cloud in the sky. DARPA Project Nimbus. They want to shoot lightning bolts with laser beams. Can't make this stuff up. This is the most accurate website on the internet. For the love of God, share it, because I'm really getting annoyed with people not knowing the history of weather modification. But most important to me is the section right here dubbed environmental warfare. And if you guys are really looking for secret government programs and secret government this and that, I know about it. I know how it works. Usually has 3 letters in front of it. CIA. But harnessing artificial tornadoes, shooting solar-powered satellites. Bernard Eastland, the guy who invented some of the HAARP technology, this is him posthumously being represented by Lyle Jenkins at the last weather modification, or the weather modification conference in 2008. Now, it's the same kind of conference that I'm going to in January. So I hope to hear some surprises there. But not too surprising, because I'll probably throw up. So regardless, these are all now organized into these sections, like environmental warfare here. And everybody's heard about owning the weather. Did you know about the FOIA for Counterforce Weather Control Spacecast 2020? Spacecast 2020 was before owning the weather in 2025. And when they published it to the internets and everybody else, they actually ripped this section 2 out. And this really cool dude who followed me on Twitter, who I followed back, the Black Vault, shout out at Black Vault, he had this. So I put it on here because I love it. And he FOIA'd, or somebody FOIA'd this. I believe he did, actually. FOIA'd this document. So please dig into it. I haven't even read it yet. I just stuck it in the timeline because I was very excited about that. Shout out again at Black Vault, the Black Vault. FOIA reveals U.S. Air Force cloud seeding with carbon black. Next page, FOIA reveals U.S. Navy weather modification program still active at China Lake. Department of Defense HAARP Steering Group Joint Services Program. How the military made HAARP. International treaties and active experiments in space. How the military talked about how they could violate NMOD for like 5 minutes at a time. Weather modification programs, problems, policy, and potential. Every derping ass chemtrail website on the internet has put a picture of this freaking document up here, and said that it was proof of chemtrails. This report is a result of NMOD. And if you don't know what NMOD is, we need to go right there. The Environmental Modification Convention, or the Convention for the Prohibition of the Hostile Use of Environmental Modification Technologies, is a law that was passed in 1978 banning weather warfare. The problem with that is it only prohibit effectively military or any other hostile use of environmental modification techniques. And specifically, each state party to this convention undertakes not to engage in military or any other hostile use of environmental modification techniques. Important part, having widespread, long-lasting, or severe effects as the means of destruction, damage, or injury to any other state party. Okay. So, this is a ban on weather warfare. It does not ban regular weather modification. Any technique for changing through the deliberate manipulation of natural processes through the dynamics, composition, or structure of the Earth, including its biota, lithosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere, or outer space. That is environmental modification. Widespread, well, you said widespread panic. You messed me all up. So wrong. I'm not going to look at you, chat room. You're on timeout, Milky. Love widespread panic. Oh my God. So The convention shall not hinder the use of environmental modification techniques for peaceful purposes. Bam. So here's the problem. The problem is weather warfare illegal, weather modification legal. How do you know if somebody's doing weather warfare or not? That is my solution. My solution is to figure that out. And the way you figure it out with the Environmental Modification Accountability Act of 2018 is to say, everybody worldwide, same time. If you're going to modify the weather, you have to tell us 48 hours in advance, put it on a website, everybody knows same time. And we build a sensor network to catch anybody modifying the weather. If we catch you modifying the weather and you did not tell us 48 hours in advance, you were being hostile. Right? But you have to have a way to catch them. And currently, that's a problem. Why? Because as we were just seeing on the list of things here, that hasn't happened. So this paper actually came as a result of the NMOP. So it goes a little something like this. The CIA was screwing with sugar crops in Cuba, 69-70. The CIA was doing Operation Popeye in Vietnam over Laos. And so CIA, Henry Kissinger, I got to move that light. CIA and Henry Kissinger were basically running the show without even telling the Secretary of Defense that they were doing weather warfare in Cuba and Vietnam same time. You cannot make this up. So when they got busted for Vietnam, they never admitted to this. Another CIA plot, Cuban crops. And what it says was, but the seeding near Cuba was to cause less rain, not more. It was supposed to squeeze the rain out of the clouds before they reached the island. You might say we tried to embargo rain clouds. So the CIA and Henry Kissinger were secretly doing weather warfare using the Air Force and U.S. Navy, specifically Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Air Force Research Lab, and U.S. Naval Research Lab, Naval Weapons Station, China Lake, California. The two FOIAs that I have from 1994 are for those same two locations today. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, U.S. Air Force Phillips Lab, and China Lake, California. Uno momento. So the purpose of all this is to show, a sequence of events that happened. So because of what they did, and I need to show that to you real quick. Got squeezed off the bottom of the page. So wrong. We go to next page. We go to the timeline. So I'm going to go to the timeline, and I'm just going to go up here to the top, and I'm going to click on 1960, and that's going to scroll me down there. That was quick. All right. So weather warfare happened right about here. Where are we at? There we are. Motor pool. Bam. I'm just going to open that one up. So this is Operation Popeye, Motor Pool, Intermediary, Compatriot. Now, you might be wondering why the hell they called it all those different things. It's because this guy right here, the man, Jack Anderson, he saw a note on Lyndon Johnson's desk, which led to the disclosure of Operation Popeye. And he also wrote the Pentagon Papers. And all of this led to the public disclosure of the, CIA and Air Force's involvement in weather warfare to begin with. So Jack Anderson and Senator Claiborne Pell, Claiborne, Jet. They got together and had all these hearings, and you can see them listed right here. I got a couple of them to read on script right here, but you can go through all of this history. Here's the weapons they used. There's a C-130 with a JATO rack on the side of it. Fires silver iodide flares. Here's it up close. There's ones that you can mount in a bomb. That is a cloud seeding bomb. Doesn't matter. It's about weather warfare. Boom. Oh, environmental warfare. Nope. Environmental modification. Because they call it MMod. I got to change that up. Words, man. Words. So anyway, and underneath that's all of Dominic's beautiful work on all of the newspapers that came out in order. So 72 first breaking stories. First breaking story was actually Jack Anderson, March 1971. If anybody can find me the paper where Jack Anderson wrote that thing, New York Times, March 1971. Somebody please give me a copy of that. Jim@climateviewer.com. Wants it bad. But these are all the papers that came out at the time. U.S. turns rain into war weapon. CIA rain-making over Laos has only indifferent results. Acts of God in Congress. Man, the news was pretty good back then before you had all this bullshit fake news. Rain-making over trail tried by CIA. Start to see a pattern here. Senator seeks NATO ban on weather wars. 1972, October. Less than a year later. Already, we should ban weather wars. We did weather warfare. So this is kind of the thinking at the time. Weather modification used for warfare, Senator hints. Pell says conclusion is reached from Defense Department answers. Rainmaking used as weapon. You get it? Whole lot of stuff. U.S. Soviets propose ban on weather war. Boom. Happened. A couple videos on that. So weather warfare is a real thing. It was banned in 1978. FFS. People talk about banning geoengineering all the time. That was banned too. 2012. The Convention for Biological Diversity. Look it up. U.S. didn't sign it. So what? That's ish. Okay, so laws are laws are laws. They're pieces of paper. They mean nothing. Without some kind of way to enforce them. And that's the purpose of what I'm doing here with this environmental modification. Oh my God, that's long. NMOD Accountability Act of 2018 is to put some accountability to this lengthy history of secret government involvement. So what they tried to do back then, and this is the quick sequence of events, 1972, they passed Weather Modification Reporting Act of 1972, weather modification activities to be reported to Congress. And I actually have the forms on there because I figured you guys might find that a little fascinating. I'll just show you that. So here's how it went. Weather modification to be reported, weather modification reporting regulations published, weather must be reported now. So, okay, that's a real thing. Here are the two forms. They look like this. Initial report, write your name down, where you want to modify the weather, who's going to be doing it, yada, yada, yada. You know, after you've been doing it a while, let us know, hey, number of days you were modifying the weather. Did you increase precipitation? Were you trying to alleviate hail or fog? Or other? Were you trying to steer a hurricane into a rival nation? Number and of modification days per major purpose. Well, we spent 60 days steering hurricanes. Hours of apparatus operation by type, airborne or ground. And type of chemical used, silver iodide, carbon dioxide, like dry ice, urea, fertilizer. No, you say it like pee-pee. Sodium chloride, salt, and other. And other could be things like they used in Vietnam. Guess what else the CIA and U.S. Air Force used in Vietnam in Operation Popeye to modify the weather? Lead iodide. Not just silver iodide, lead iodide. Let that sink in for a minute. Wow. So they passed those laws back in 1972 that said in the United States of America, if you're going to modify the weather, you got to fill out those two freaking forms and send them to NOAA. Fact. I have those reports from 2002 to 2012. If you want to see who's modifying the weather today in America, I have a map of it on climateviewer.org. Not going to go there. Get seriously distracted when I go play with my toy. Anyway, next thing was the National Weather Modification Policy Act of 1976. And this is all of what I'm telling you right now is because of NMOD, is because of Operation Popeye, is because the U.S. government, the CIA, Henry Kissinger, were illegally doing weather warfare in Vietnam and Cuba and didn't even tell the damn Secretary of Defense. So it's so secret. Only a group of about 17 individuals and 1,700 total service people, and only 3 planes were used in Vietnam over 5 years to do the weather warfare. So secrets can happen, and it doesn't take a lot of people, and they didn't even tell the Secretary of Defense. Oh, by the way, they lied under oath. So all of that led to the National Weather Modification Policy Act of 1976 also, which said, we demand, we being very old, bald-headed white guys sitting in the Congress going, wait, Bob, we can control the weather? And they looked at each other and said, we need a full report of what the heck's been going on. Because most of those people were fully unaware that cloud seeding had been invented 30 years prior. So that's why this paper right here was put out. That's why so many people have put it on their website saying this is proof of chemtrails. It is 784 pages of full disclosure from the government, because CIA, because Popeye, because NMOD. History has now repeated itself. We are in a situation where weather warfare is occurring. There is no accountability. Even though there's a law in the books, NMOD, there's no way to catch anybody doing it. And that's why I'm proposing my solution, the Environmental Mod, Accountability Act, which is an add-on to NMOD, and to create sensors you can put in your backyard with a camera pointed at the sky, sniffing for atmospheric aerosols, taking rain samples real time, and displaying on a map real time on the internet. Oh, by the way, I already made that map. ClimateViewer.org. So I hope that you guys will come over to weathermodificationhistory.com. I hope that you will check out ClimateViewer.com, ClimateViewer.org. Support what I'm doing. 7 years, man. It's a long time to be planning for this. But I made a 5-year plan in 2012, and I am nearing the end of that plan. And one of my first major goal is to get some traction, get some agreement between the scientists, go up there and straight up kiss their ass if necessary. But to have them hear our pleas, our requirements. I mean, we want some accountability. We want to know who's doing what, when, where, and why. And there's been a lot of weather modification projects worldwide. And people are concerned about it, constantly screwing with things, and we don't have any accountability for who's doing what, where. You get the point. I'm going to go up there. Promise, no ass kissing, just a little bit of brown nose. And if I see Ken Caldera or David Keith, because I really want to interview them. Oh my God, the things I would say to Ken Caldera. Whew. Wow, you just totally distracted me. So the point of going there is to be a gentleman, to represent the cause, to talk about the issues. I created all of this over the last 2 weeks for the purpose of this conference. I sat here and I mulled around going, how can I go there and say, look, here's the issues, all that. I made an infographic. Dude, all 10 of these things are real. We, the people of the internet, saw what you did last summer. So you can't lie to me. And if they try to say that any one of these 10 things are not real, I will verbally abuse them. And then that is totally a joke. I will. There will be a verbal ninjutsu match for a moment. But all the solutions right here, all of the history of it here. Here's our solution here. Can you guys agree with us on this? Because I didn't put all this damn work into all of this, but 7 years into documenting all this for no reason. So it's time for us to really get the ball moving in the right direction. There has been a lot of frustration expressed to me by people in the movement about not really going anywhere. And this is my way of getting up there and trying to do something about it. And I hope to, get this. One sec. Sorry, my throat. Very, very rough down here. Is it freezing and everybody else? My goodness. Oh my goodness. So that's Dom, my homie from Canada, and of course that's me sitting in front of a tree. We talks. Front yard. That's my front yard. Big tree crack, butt crack tree. Anyway, I'm from Sumter, South Carolina. He's from Canada, and we do this together because nobody does it better. And I hope that you guys will share it. This image right here, feel free to download this image. If you have a website, put it on your website, link back to us. I would greatly appreciate that. Send this to your senators. Tell them about our solution, the Environmental Modification Accountability Act. It's a real solution. It's based on a lot of research on my part. I can promise you that much. And if you even come over here to climateviewer.com/nmod, where that solution is described, you can get down here in the reference and see some pretty legal, deep discussions about this. Depends on how deep down the rabbit hole you want to go. But at the very least, please support my efforts. Please support climateviewer.com, climateviewer.org, and weathermodificationhistory.com, because what we're doing here is unique. It is necessary. I don't think that anybody really believes that, that weather modification is even a real thing. And then I don't think that anybody who does realize the size and scope of weather modification is thinking about it realistically. And after studying 200 years of weather control and military agendas, I realized that, if we could get every single person on the planet to shout at the same time, we may be able to stop weather modification. But until the last who in Whoville raises their voice, So next best thing, accountability, regulation, transparency, and some way to know when the secret ones are going on. Nuclear explosions are banned. That does not stop Kim Jong-un from firing them off. But we know when he fires them off because we have a sensor network. And that's the solution for me. And that's why I built ClimateViewer.org. That's why I've done most of what I've been doing over the last 4 years, is to try to get to a place where I can find the solution, drive it home, make it a law, build some sensors, save the world. Help me do it. And unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not.